Hello everyone and welcome to Mountain Lake Journal. I'm Tom Halleck. This week, the new NAFTA. The U.S. signs off on the new trade deal with Mexico and Canada.
The yeas are 89, the nays are 10. The bill is passed.
The Senate this past week voted overwhelmingly in support of the new North American trade deal. It comes on the heels of last month's approval by the House and after months of negotiations between Democrats and the White House. The passage of USMCA gives President Trump, who made his opposition to NAFTA a centerpiece of his 2016 campaign, a major victory, in just days before the Senate was poised to begin his impeachment trial. The new trade deal includes new protections for auto workers and dairy farmers in the U.S. more access to the Canadian market. It also includes new rules for digital trade, something that barely existed when NAFTA was written. New York's two senators, Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand, both voted against the deal, saying that while it does include labor provisions, it does not address climate change, which they call the greatest threat facing the planet. The USMCA was signed more than a year ago by President Trump and the leaders of Mexico and Canada, but had to be approved by legislatures in all three nations. Mexico has already done so.
When the House returns next week, we will also move forward immediately on ratifying the new NAFTA. On Monday, we will introduce a Ways and Means motion, and on Wednesday, we will table legislation to ratify the deal.
And as he wrapped up a retreat with his new cabinet ministers this week, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said Canada will take steps to ratify the new trade deal next week. Now, with congressional approval, President Trump must still sign the revised NAFTA deal, something he said he planned to do this week. The new NAFTA deal is being applauded by many leaders here in the North Country who say it is critical to keeping the balance in cross-border trade that has become so important to the region's economy.
There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that even approaches the importance of the U.S.-Canadian economic relationship to the economy of the North Country. Nothing that even approaches that level of importance whatsoever. For us, at the end of the day, what has been most important is to get to finality, get to predictability. What cross-border business, particularly the immensity of interrelationships between U.S. and Canadian businesses, particularly in the North Country, with Quebec, what they need is predictability. They need to know what the rules are. Even if a rule is worse than it was, they'd rather know if that's what it's going to be and have it settled. The fact that the agreement was out there for almost a year in the original negotiations with uncertainty created uncertainties, which we saw last year for a period of time when investment almost ceased in the North Country from Canada, not because they didn't ultimately need to be here and know that, but because they just wanted to wait and see what the new rules were going to be. October 1st of last year, when the major overall agreement was reached, the phone started ringing, the relationship was back where it was. What we had to fear as we came up to the end of this year was the possibility of this somehow going off the rails. Somehow the House deciding it wasn't going to agree, that this wasn't going to happen this year, and entering into the new year with Canadian business once again saying, well, what if they don't approve this? What if the White House maybe goes back and starts saying they want to cancel NAFTA if they don't have the new agreement? You know, the what ifs become scary for business. So at the end of the day, what is most satisfying for us is the fact that it's done, it's negotiated, it's approved.